Yeah. Well, as you've alluded to, it was a forced stay in Scotland. We were all forced to remain at home, and I mean, we have to sort of talk about being stuck at home for all those times, and the previous record, The Celebration of Endings, not getting a chance to release that record properly and tour it and cancel all the tours, everything that came with it. It was a really kind of weird time. Um, but we just tried to take the positives out of it, really, as I think everyone has to try and do in tough times like that. Um, and we just made the record at home in our own little space where we've practiced for years. It's quite rough and ready. It's on a farmhouse, but we did a little bit of DIY and got the place sorted out, made it a little bit more homely, and made it better for recording. You know, we've got to try and get a good sound when you're recording, even if you're doing it yourselves. I think maybe especially if you're doing it yourselves, you have to try a little bit harder. So we've always been trying to just concentrate solely on making the music and not have to worry about everyday life, if you like. And I know that's quite a luxury, but we've always taken that luxury when we can. So it was quite strange this time to be coming home of an evening. But the big difference is that suddenly we were getting to see each other and leave the house and get back to work, if you like, although that's not an expression I like to use when talking about making music. But the joy that came with being together and having a meal together, breaking bread, and just spending some company and talking about how difficult life was at that moment. There's all those clouds, if you like, those different scenarios that you have to take into context when talking about this record at all, really. I think lyrically it's almost two sides of the same coin. I think A Celebration of Endings was a really positive outlook in society and how we've been through some dark times, but it felt like we were entering into the light a little bit. And it feels on this record that it's a reflection of the last 18 months where things sadly have got a little bit dark again and a little bit tricky, and we're seeing the kind of worst in society. Um, Certainly the behaviour of so-called leaders and that sort of thing. There's been really a lot of selfish behaviour, a lot of greed, as there always is in the world. And I think there's a relationship there between a positive view on society and a negative view in society. And of course, there's always a, a personal aspect to that. It's not necessarily factual, you know. It's just sort of Simon's take on things per se. Um, and a lot of the new records about kind of tribalism and how people are so quick to put themselves in one camp or another and create these divides, and it has to be a yes or a no or whatever it is, and society is just sort of ripping itself apart. And I think life is just, I choose a word semi carefully here, but somewhat of a constant struggle. It's never really plain sailing. I think musically there's a connection because the record really started off as being very much a companion record, a B-sides album, almost some of the songs that didn't quite make it onto A Celebration of Endings. But then Simon, as he always does, come up with a couple of amazing songs that really just kind of unlocked a door and felt that the record was taking a new direction. And they almost kind of reinvigorated some of the songs that we didn't quite know how to deliver, you know, how to record, how, like, tempo, arrangement, all of the things that you can struggle with a song. It felt like we got, I can't even think, I think for me it was probably separate missions where it just felt really fresh, something new, a new sound for the band, and it really kind of unlocks the creative juices when you get a moment like that. Um, I think it was most, you know, it's always fluctuating a little bit, um, but I don't think it really changed that much. It was, of course, strange not spending a lot of time apart, but that just meant when we got back into the room to to start working on the song. We always work quite a lot on the songs before we hit record. You know, we're not a band that kind of jams it out, and once we've got a template as a band, then you're always free to rip it up and start again. But we tend to try and find something to get us going on. You know, it's not just right, hit record and we'll see what happens. You know, it's not really like that. So I think the songwriting process was fairly sort of similar in most aspects, I would say. Always trying to look for something to unlock an idea. And a couple of times in this record, there was, you know, different things that Simon maybe pulled from ideas that he'd had a great idea, but maybe didn't see it for Biffy. I'd say Dum Dum is probably an example of that, the first song on the record, where I think Simon had a bit of an idea and Ben and I were like, that's really good. I think we need to look at that a little bit further. This is an emotion that I'm trying to shake off because it's not that healthy, but anger, a lot of anger, at the continued greed, at the continued imbalance, at how close-minded people are. I thought we were sort of opening up as humankind, opening up to other ideas and being able to welcome people in. But certainly in this country, it feels like we're just putting barriers up, quite literally. I think if we didn't have the English Channel, they would be trying to build a fucking wall. You know that. Sorry for swearing. I don't know. For the things that you can't change, the only thing you can change is how you respond to it, and how you how you deal with that emotion. I mentioned before about tribalism, and it feels like it's been a polarizing time. Everyone's been affected by the pandemic, but not everyone's had anywhere near the same experience. And it showed the inequality in the world, and it doesn't sit easy with me. I feel helpless. I don't really know what I can do to change it. I think all you can do at that stage is trying to look after the people around you. You can't look after everybody. And I don't know if that sounds selfish. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't really know, but yeah, try and lend a hand to your neighbours if you can. You know, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to. We're not all trying to land in the moon. You know, these idiots think they can just fly away off the earth after we're potentially ruining it. I mean, what? I've never seen such rubbish in all my life. It's truly like science fiction. I'm spitting at the mouth. I'm spitting at the mouth talking about this because I'm still a bit angry, to be honest. There's always hope in Simon's lyrics, though. There's always some hope, even through tough times and anger. The record finishes saying, love everybody, yeah. You know, it's the last record was fuck everybody, and that was a positive record. So make of that what you will. It's not, as tough as life is, it's not always doom and gloom, but it's just never quite always plain sailing. You know, I think the older I get, the more I'm starting to realize that. And you know, I'm very fortunate with the life that I live. You know, doing what we dreamed of when we were 14. You know, it's like in many aspects life couldn't be better, but it ain't perfect, you know. And as long as it's not perfect for everybody, then it can't be perfect for anybody. Do you know what I mean? If there's anybody out there struggling, I don't know how you can have a truly clear conscience. But anyway, we always live in hope that life will get easier for people, and society will learn from its mistakes. And all we can really do is do our own little bit, I suppose. It almost felt like it came about in a dream. I don't really remember when we got asked, because it's one of those ones that you know, as a band, you get occasionally things get mentioned and maybe they don't happen, or there have been some disappointments along the way. Let's put it that way. So you never really dare to dream in them before we're in the studio. That was one of the first things we did actually in what we're calling Infinity Land Studios, which is in our little farm. And that was one of the first things we recorded there. What an honour to be involved in a project like that and to get the nod from Metallica. Um, it wasn't like our choice, you know. That's the kind of one of the greatest things about it. It was, we feel like we were chosen. We were chosen. and and then it just comes down to the tough choice of what song to hit. You know, what great records. We try to choose the kind of less obvious route, um, as is our want, as we usually do. Um, and then we just felt really careful not to try and out riff Metallica. I think that would have been a mistake. Um, nobody's got a right hand like Hetfield. If that doesn't sound a little bit weird. And so we just tried to kind of do our own thing, and we meant that with the greatest of respect, of course. Love that band. It was Simon's first ever gig, and we've played a few shows with them over the years, and they've always been really great to us. So what an honour. That's the first thing to say. It really was. And then what a great few days. What a great few days in the studio. That maybe, you might say, set the tone for just, not so much our record, I don't mean that, the music, but just the environment and the recording space. That was a project we felt really free, and I think you can hear that in the song. We've really taken it on a bit of a journey, and maybe that extended into recording for the Myth. You know, it might have just set a slight tone in the place where we weren't like buttoning up our shirts and putting our ties on. It was quite a kind of relaxed atmosphere. And then fast forward to maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we got a voice note. It might have been James Hetfield on the radio talking about the project, and just hearing him go, "Those guys from Biffy Clyro." And we were just immediately like little school kids just giggling in the corner, like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. Nobody knows what's going to happen, least of all me. We've got so many songs now to choose from. Look, I mean, like, all joking aside, we're in a really great spot. We're in a really good place because we've got lots of music to come and share, and that's always an exciting place to be in. You know, we can't wait to play these songs. It's almost like the songs don't really come alive in a way until you start playing them in front of people, and um, all those old cliches about the song changing meaning and things, they all sort of ring true. You know, they do. Cliches wouldn't be there. Cliches are there for a reason. You know, that's what I feel like. And so we're coming over in February. I'm not gonna read out the list, even though I promised Tash that I would, but I'm sure you guys can figure out when we're coming to your town. But it's such a joy. We're going to play a long time. Is that you guys better get there early and be prepared to go home really, really tired with no voices left. Um, it's going to be fun. It's been so long since we played really over in Germany, and it feels like a second home to us. It really does. We spent so many shows in your country and spent so many amazing nights. The three of us first went to Germany when we were like 15 on a school trip, and kind of immediately fell in love with the place. And thankfully, that's continued with the band. It's always been a really great place to come and play. We want to just look at strangers in the face and go, yeah, and like share some joy. And um, usually I would say breathe the same air, but I think that's maybe a little insensitive at the moment. But just be around other people, of course, when it's safe. I mean, it's got to be safe. That's of course why things have been postponed so many times. But you know, humankind needs to be around other people. You know, this is no good for us being stuck in the house. Of course, to all of the lovely people that are watching, come and see us. We need your help. We need your company. We've missed you so much, and we can't wait to come and see you in February. I hope you guys are surviving. I know it's really been a tough time, but let's stick together, and I think we'll be able to do okay, I reckon. So lots of love from Biffy.